Hello everybody. So, like I said in my last video, I don't believe the Bible is the inerrant word of God anymore. I think some of it maybe is true, some of it maybe is not. Some of it maybe could be considered historical, some of it maybe not. All of these are things that I don't want to say disagree with. Well, some of them is things that I disagree with. Some of them are things that I question. Some of them are just things I want to research some more. So, join me in looking at these passages. Only one per video. I'm not going to do all of them in one video. That would be way too much. First one that I wanted to look into is Genesis 22. I'm not going to read it. You can look it up if you want to. But it's Abraham sacrificing Isaac. If you view the Bible as a story, you can see that this is foreshadowing of Jesus to come. I mean, it's very symbolic. But if you look at this as historical document, that's kind of horrifying. That's horrifying for Abraham and for Isaac, if these people really existed. But there's two interpretations. Well, there's three, but I'm going to get into two. The Jewish interpretation and the Christian interpretation. So the Jewish one I found pretty interesting. It said that Abraham was testing God and not the other way around, because Abraham knew he would never sacrifice his son, and he knew a good God would never ask him to sacrifice his son. So he was waiting to see if God would intervene and stop him, and use that as an example that God doesn't like child sacrifices. And then there's the Christian interpretation, which is I have some notes. It's not a script, but they're notes. One of them was to test Abraham's faith, that he would give up what he loved most for God. I've heard that one probably the most. And honestly, I don't like that interpretation, because it just paints God as this person that plays with people and toys with them. There's a passage in the Bible that says God does not tempt people to sin, but this seems like God is tempting somebody to sin. The other one that I said, it was a foreshadowing of Jesus to come. But did it really happen, or was it a story passed down from generation to generation? And then there's a third interpretation, and this is found in the New Testament, that God would raise Isaac from the dead. But man, that's a really traumatic thing to go through, to put people that you care about through. You're gonna make a father kill his son, and that's probably gonna be painful. Why even go through that? Why wouldn't God just say, hey, Abraham, write this story down? It's going to be a prediction, or it's going to be a foreshadowing of Jesus coming. Also, God... Hi, Cider. My cat is talking to me. Also, God says, take your only son, but Abraham didn't have one son. He had two. He had Ishmael and Isaac. And I don't like that either, because it's like God thought it was okay for Abraham to abandon an innocent child. Abraham didn't trust that God would give him a child, so Abraham went his own way and tried to find his own father, his own child, without God. But what does that have to do with Ishmael? That's an innocent child. Ishmael didn't ask to be born, so it's kind of like you're punishing Ishmael for the sins of the father. And then this leads to another interpretation that I saw, where it says, perhaps God is not testing Abraham's faith as much as he wants him to revisit his behavior towards Ishmael. I don't know about if that's a legit argument, but I thought it was interesting. This brings up the issue that Christians are expected to obey rather than think or question things, which is also another interesting side note. Abraham questioned God like 4 or 5 times when God said he was going to destroy a city. But here it doesn't say anything about him questioning God. It's like if your superiors tell you to do something horrible or violent, then you have to do it. Obedience is considered better than morals. And the most holy men do not ask questions. They just do what they're told. I don't like that. God gives us common sense. He gives us moral insights for a reason. I don't think he would be the one to ask us to give up our moral intuition to just obey him without question. There's actually a case in 1993, the year I was born. Andrew Cate is his name, Andrew Cate, where he murdered his child because he heard God telling him to do it, and he thought that, like Abraham, he was supposed to kill his child and that God would raise his child from the dead. It's a different time period, but still teaching people to not question God or what they think is coming from God leads to problems, leads to, well, in this case, a murder. My interpretation of this is, I think it's a story. I don't think this actually happened. I think it was a legend passed down from generation to foreshadow Jesus coming and dying on the cross. But I don't think this actually happened in real life. And I don't think there's a problem with believing that. Leave a comment, whatever. Whatever. Assalamu alaikum, Zaijin. Bye, guys.